Yeah. So I'll get to that. The short answer now, and then I'll talk to it, and maybe if they have this, I can show you some slides, is when you think of all the places you could go, there's a lot of reasons, like who speaks Spanish here? Who speaks Portuguese? Right? Who speaks Vietnamese? Japanese? Okay. Thai? You know, see, so part of it is you may start your business and you're like, I want to go start a business in Thailand. Like, I was that way. One of my other businesses, we created a knockoff Lovesac because I just wanted to do something in China, produce something and use my language. Well, this wasn't the case with Zinch, you know. So for us, and in this stage of our business, we had to make a thoughtful, you know, decision on where we would put resources. When we launched in China, the business was already growing very strong in the US. So China wasn't just kind of a shot in the dark and because we spoke a little Chinese. If you look at the numbers, China, right now studying in the US are 159,000 Chinese students. If you break that down, about half of those are undergrad. And if you divide that by 4, assuming they're all studying for 4 years, that's about 15, I've done the math, 15,000 new Chinese students coming to the US every year, which is more than any other country. India is number 2. South Korea is probably number 3, Taiwan, a few others, okay? But so one, China is sending more students to the US than any other country. So just the opportunity was the biggest. Second was expertise. You know, we were fortunate to be introduced to a powerhouse of a leader, a guy, he's American, but he's done business in China, started companies in China. So it wasn't just me speaking some Chinese and kind of being gung-ho and taking an idea to China. It was me being part of a team, knowing this business very well because I built it domestically, being able to go and be a part of now that team in China and apply some of what I learned, knowing that our model had to be customized to that market. You know, if you look at the number of US companies that are American companies that are market leaders that have succeeded in China, it's like, I think 0, right? So Google, Best Buy, Home Depot, like you go down the list of these companies, and it's just not clear that any of them have had the right strategy. You know, so we knew going in that there was some risk, but we also knew that we had something very unique to offer. We had relationships with U.S. schools. So we're now coming and saying, hey, you know, we have regular communication with UC Berkeley, you know, a bunch of great universities. We can put you in touch. So that was part of that right here. Both of you. Oh, I owe you a book. Clayton Christiansen, The Innovator's Dilemma. If you've read it, I can swap it out. Okay, you read it. I thought you had. Everybody's probably read this here. The Millionaire Mind. This is the one that I got when I was in this class. Awesome book. Oh, you have to ask it first.
Okay. So my question is, it goes with the risk you were talking about. How do you, like, in starting up, you're not taking any money in yourself. You actually put a whole bunch of money into it. How do you mitigate risk, especially when you're in the circumstance like newly married and that kind of thing?
What type of risk? What do you mean?
Well, just like the risk of failure of your business model, like just crumbling.
You know, I mean, part of it is when so I put $60,000 of my own money in it, right? So, and that was like, I'm not, you know, then that was, I mean, now that's meaningful, right? So when you have that in the game, I mean, you tell me, so if your net worth, let's say, is 100 grand and you're putting 60% of that in a business, how do you think that impacts how you approach your business?
Work really hard to make enough out.
You work really freaking hard. I mean, you're like burning it, right? Now, the other part to it, though, is there's more to the story oftentimes. If you're married, if you have kids, I was married, did have, I think, my first kid, or had about, you know, and when we moved to China, had 2 kids, and then had one, you know, so part of it too is having a partner, you know, kind of in crime who's on board with it. You know, sometimes that's not what your spouse is down with, and so having someone who's kind of on board with this and that lifestyle, meaning it's meager and you're simple with stuff, is really important. But I think the bottom line is, you know, it's a huge mitigator of risk to me because it means I'm counting on myself. And depending on, you know, your personality, like if you're that type where you're kind of like, I want it to ride on me. Like my memory of scouting was the one time I didn't choose to be the person who took the match to light the fire when you get like one match. Did you ever do that? I remember it. I'm like, I wish I would have taken that match. Like I remember the guy's name who lit it and how it blew out. And I was just like, we don't have our fire. You know? Now, that obviously is probably minuscule in the scheme of things, but I think there's a little bit of that in all this. You know, you kind of have to, gauge your appetite for some risk. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not here to say entrepreneurship is everything. I think there's fabulous people. You know, today I was at, no. It was recently I was in a Home Depot, Office Depot, and the lady helping me was like phenomenal. I mean, this lady was so good at what she did. I had serious respect. She probably made less than 20 bucks an hour, but the point is, you know, we're not all meant to be entrepreneurs, and that's like one thing to do. And in the scheme of things, it's not how much we end this life like making and did we sell a company and these things. It's sort of like, did you learn a craft, whatever your craft was, and did you own your craft? Did you have something where you're like, I mastered this thing and, you know, blessed lives because of it, whether that's working at Office Depot or starting a company or whatever. Like, that's my opinion.